Welcome back, everybody, to Let's Talk Toku. I'm your host. You already know who I am. I'm not important here. What is important this episode is we are going to highlight the fandom, and I've brought on not one, not two, but three guests. So give it up for our first guest today. It's Mr. Von Cooper himself.
Hey guys, what's going on? This is Von Coop, also known as Mr. Cooper92 on Twitter. Just to make sure that just want to know who I am. I am the most famous black nerd. I'm about to say the most famous black nerd. I'm not Andre.
He's more popular than Andre. We asked him to come on the show and he said no. He said send Von Coop instead.
I am the most famous black man in Japan. Self-proclaimed black man in Japan. There you go.
Awesome. It's great to have you on the show. So extrapolate a little bit for us. What exactly do you do in the fandom? How are you different than just somebody who sits around and just watches these shows? Like, what do you do for the fandom?
So for me, what I do is that I either record henshin videos or transformation videos without the sound and special effects, just raw and making sure that I show my emotion towards the transformations. So that's what I do, as well as I also record Sentai dance videos majority time, just to have fun. For some reason, I know how to do the dances majority of the time, so that's a great thing that I do in the fandom, as well as just speak my mind, speak my opinion on certain things, but mainly it's the transformation videos.
We gotta link up at PMC and do a dance video together.
Oh, definitely. I got a few dances I need to try to learn before I can get ready for PMC.
I think the last one I did was at Japan World Heroes. The first year it went down, we did the Q Ranger dance, and that was interesting. It was
Which one did you do? Did you do the
Yeah, the original with the humping.
Okay.
Fun fact for all you at home: the Sentai dance they humped, and then they were like, "Wait a minute, this is inappropriate. Let's do something different." After like episode 20.
Oh no, moms are watching. We cannot show the humping.
So let's talk about the fandom. So what initially brought you into this fandom? Like, how did you get into tokusatsu?
I want to say I knew about it since 2004, but I didn't really start watching it until 2007. I know because of a certain show that was airing on 2004 that Deals with Dinosaurs had a special episode about found in translation and shows in Japan, and I just went ahead and discovered it after that episode. Went around and just searched Japanese blank blank, and I found a website called Japan Hero. It was the first website I found for tokusatsu. It pretty much showed me to introduce me to Aba Ranger, Decker Ranger, Blade. It introduced me to, I want to say, Ryuki, just pretty much Kamen Rider in general, and as well as reintroduced me to Ultraman, because we had Ultraman here for like a little bit for Fox. So I want to say Japan Hero is the one that introduced me to tokusatsu. But for starting off watching it, I want to say it was like a summer 2007. I just left like a summer job. It was raining, and I had a computer on me, and I just went ahead and searched a show. I want to say it was Geki Ranger. Geki Ranger was the first show I actually watched, and I loved it because the first episode got me through it. It was before Jungle Fury came out, and it got me really excited for like learning about the characters, learning why they don't have belts on Geki Ranger, and then just trying to see like why they're doing kung fu. But that's how I got into it, because I was watching it from VO. That was a website that I used to watch my tokusatsu.
That's where I watched mine too. Like the person uploaded every episode, right?
Yes, until they stopped.
Yeah, and then you had to go find it elsewhere. You had to go find it from the source.
Yeah, and I couldn't do that because I was using my mom's computer, so I couldn't really download stuff because she's going to start complaining about me downloading Japanese shows and everything else. So I want to say Geki Ranger is the first Sentai I watched. After that, I want to say 30 minutes later, I watched the first episode of Kabuto because I really like the suits from Kabuto. And then I watched Dino right after that episode, and I just kept on watching tokusatsu since then, and it never stopped for like almost about since 2007. So it's been a very long time.
Would you be down to doing the transformation from Geki Ranger with me? Because I know you like to do this transformations. Do you remember how to do it?
Ooh. Oh, I do.
Yeah, because if you're not familiar with Geki Ranger, it was the Power Rangers adaptation to Jungle Fury, which is funny that you're calling it blank blank. It's not like Saban's gonna come after us or anything that I know of. But they used sunglasses, but in the original series they had these what were they called, like Geki Knuckles?
Geki Knuckles, something wrist. I don't want to mispronounce names, so I just say Punchy Morpher.
It'll be on the screen right here. But basically, yeah, what they would do is, you want to do it with me? Let's do it. Okay, let's pretend like we're gonna smack down this monster of the week. All right, you ready?
Ready. Kage! Kamoshina! Beasto!
I hit one of the Momotaros. I don't know which one. There's so many of them, and I don't know which one I hit, but I definitely heard one fall over. Oh, man.
What's up, Let's Talk Toku? My name is Noah Bowden, and some of you watching may know me from Midwest Tokusatsu. Now, I love Toku for just the sheer amount of creativity that goes into making it, from the characters that a lot of us latch onto and relate to the special effects like the explosions, of course, right? And also, really, right down to the costumes. I think the costumes are the bread and butter of any Toku show, and for something like this to work, you have to sell the aesthetics first and foremost.
My name's Nathan. The reason why I love Toku is because it's just another form of telling stories about heroes. Of course, we have our big heroes over here in the West, in Marvel and DC, but tokusatsu is just another medium for us to embrace and see another side of heroes that we don't get over here in the States. And I just really love the stories that they tell and the adventures these heroes go on.
One of the many reasons why I love tokusatsu is that everybody in the world can just come together and join in what they love. Like a Megazord in, hey. It also lets us get our cosplay on too.
But yeah, Kabuto, Denno, those were really, I think, this small, really wonderful slice of tokusatsu at the time. Those were so good. Those are so well looked up to. And I think getting into tokusatsu at that time is one of the best, because I know we have this one user on my Discord who, I think he's like 13 or something. He's from Canada, and he's just got into tokusatsu. And so he's like, give me some recommendations. And we're like, go check out this. And he'd come back and he'll like, I loved Bokenger. It was great. I loved Geki Ranger. It's my favorite, And it's all like from that small little like sect of time that he's just like, whoa. So it's cool to kind of see that through him,
I could probably say that's like pretty much the golden age of like when people started getting into tokusatsu, because Denno was a big thing back in 2007. Even though people didn't really like the silliness of Denno, but it had a really great story.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, 2007, 2008 was pretty much like a big year just to get like a good amount of people into the franchise, until I want to say 2011 with Gokaiger, and then 2009 with kind of like a decade. So I want to say 2007 and 8 was like a good year just to get into it, just like an understanding.
Yeah, definitely. I would totally agree with you. But hey, don't go anywhere. We will be right back with more Let's Talk Toku. And I think if I have enough time, I'm going to go get a haircut or something. I don't know. Things are opening up. Let's
Oh, hey. Didn't see anything. I'm Jacob, and I like tokusatsu because...
Kaboom!
I just think it's...
I love tokusatsu because of the friends I've been able to make in this really large fandom. Watching along with friends and discussing these episodes, making podcasts and videos. Tokusatsu is such a wide genre with different shows and themes, and it's all about fighting for justice and what's right, and that's why I love tokusatsu.
Ha! Oh. Didn't see you guys there. You see, I like tokusatsu because I get to experience so many cool things, watch so many cool shows, and I get to collect a lot of cool toys. Like these back here. So, I'll go back to playing with said toys, like these. So... Ha!
Welcome back, everybody, to Let's Talk Toku. Let's talk about the elephant in the room real quick. I did not get my hair cut. They were pretty booked up. The line was outside the door. No one was wearing masks. I didn't touch it. Anyway, we are here because this episode we are focusing on the fandom and awesome people that are in the fandom. I'm here with another guest, my friend Alé.
Hey, Squall, how's it going?
It's going well. How about yourself, man?
Hey, I'm hanging in.
I like your setup. I like the art on the wall.
Yes, that is my wife, Hammy. She's over there. It's all right. We spent Christmas together. If you're on my Facebook, you would know the really bad Photoshop image that I made of us spending Christmas together. It's great.
Is that also the, what is that, Kamen Rider Spirits manga?
Yeah, okay, so that right there was a really cool pick that I got. During COVID, I was getting restless and I wanted stuff, not being at work, I can't spoil myself. So I started going on eBay and hunting down a lot of stuff that I've been wanting. And I found the entire Spirits collection in one go for like less than $100 with the shipping. I'm not even sure how I got it for that cheap. It's a complete set of all 16 volumes, all in like pristine condition. It took like 2 months to get here, but with everything that's going on, I was totally not going to complain about that. And it was much easier to find than my Cyborg 009 4 volumes that I have right now.
I was really strapped for cash. Sorry it took so long.
That's right.
Anyway, let's jump into it. I know that, oh man, every time I hit the table, I always lose figures. Man, old figures, they don't make them like they do now. But anyway, just for anybody who may not be familiar with yourself, who the hell are you?
So as said before, my name's Alé. I am a comic book artist. I'm a self-described tokusatsu artist, but I try to take a different spin with it. I travel to a lot of conventions. Weirdly enough, for being called a tokusatsu artist, I rarely ever do fan art of writer or sentai. I have, I'm not opposed to doing it. I've had a few prints here and there, but the thing that I specialize in is telling new original stories inspired by like writer and sentai and the entire history of like tokusatsu, so including like Metal Heroes and Kakaider. I've got 2 books that I do. One's called Red Visor Go. That one was my first one. I had a couple issues that I did, and it's been a bumpy ride with that one, but I recently redrew the first 2 issues and finished drawing the 3rd issue. And I'll be doing something like that in the near future. And then my other series is called Masked Heroes Time Strikers, which is like my attempt at having some sort of like, I don't want to say cinematic universe, but like shared superhero universe with all the different themes of Toku, from everything from like Sentai writer style to even like magical girls and Metal Heroes. I just wanted to take all the aesthetics and combine it with more like Western storytelling, more like, superhero comic book storytelling inspired by like the styles of tokusatsu and the themes of tokusatsu as well.
So, wow, you got 2 projects that you're working on right now. Which one's your favorite one that you're working on, if you had to pick?
God, okay, so honestly, it's all based on my mood. For a while, Red Visor Go, I will always say Red Visor Go is my baby. I work on it with a couple other writers who aren't Toku fans. They just like making good storytelling, and they like the idea and the aesthetic. Because when I pitched it, I was like, hey, what if Sailor Moon was more like a Sentai hero? That was my original pitch with the story, and we ended up bringing in themes of nostalgia. And I think like when a lot of this COVID started going down and like not being out of work, I was feeling not very inspired, and it felt really good to go back through this story and redraw this character because she is a very fun and vibrant character. I would liken her to like younger teenage Marvel superheroes, that kind of vibrant energy that they tend to bring along, like Kamala Khan and young Peter Parker, that kind of stuff. So that's like something that I've been really driven to do with that one. But Masked Heroes is more of like a sandbox I can play in. I think I've had more fun designing characters for it. Obviously, the Time Strikers itself is like a self-contained story. I plan on doing like 6 issues with it, and then lots of other spin-off stories in order to tell different themes. One story could be a comedy one. Who knows? Maybe I can do a horror story set in this, just using these characters in like a playful sandbox. So it really depends on my mood. One day I'll be like, yeah, Red Visor is my everything. The next day I'll be like, all right, Time Strikers, this is it. This is what I'm doing. I've got a little bit of like ADHD about my own projects, but that's kind of what it's like to be an artist.
I totally feel that. I get you. Awesome. It's really nice to have people come on this show who, are like working in the industry or have these projects that they're actually putting out there, and, they're not just sitting on it, or not just, it's really fun to just kind of reflect with those people and see sort of the progress from, like where they are right now, where they are in the future. Because you and I, we go back a little bit, and to see where your stuff has come from to where it is now, it's amazing.
That was the crazy part about working on Red Visor, actually. Because I remember, God, in 2016 when I was starting to work on it, I thought this was like the peak of my ability. Like I was like, I'm never getting better at drawing this, and I was content with it. I thought I was doing really well. When I was going to conventions, I was selling issue number 1 left and right. Like issue number 1 would sell like 50 issues on average at all the conventions I was traveling to. And I was like, man, I'm doing so good. I could totally see myself like, getting something big out of this. And then going back and redrawing it, I'm like, oh my God, I knew nothing about artwork. Oh, this panel composition is terrible. Oh God, I could have done this so much better. In fact, redrawing issue 2, that was almost changing entire like pages, massive rewriting different contexts, because, as an artist, as you grow, you learn better. You could say that I'm wasting my time by going back and redrawing old things. But I think it's very, very cathartic as an artist to see where you came from and how far you've grown, and where that can take you to create even better projects in the future.
I totally feel that. If anybody ever goes back and watches like the first few episodes of this show, our master camera was just a webcam. Like we only had, 2 actual cameras, and then we got a third one in here, and now it looks a little better. Yeah. But no, I agree with that. I always pushing forward, always, never relying on this is as good as I will always be. I think it's a good, piece of advice for anybody watching.
Hey, I'm Powervice Colin, and you may know me from Twitter since I come your post for a video for Let's Talk Toku for TokuSHOUTsu. So, anyway, how I love tokusatsu, may you ask? Well, I love tokusatsu for 9 years, and my first 2 series I watched for tokusatsu was Kazusete Gokaichur and Kamen Rider Decay. So I have to say tokusatsu is very amazing for Blue TV, and it's been my entire life.
Why do I love tokusatsu? There's always the great action, the wonderful stories, and the colorful suits, but most importantly, it serves as a major influence to tell my own stories.
Hi TokuSHOUTsu! My name is Jefferson, and as a 90s kid living in Japan in an American military base, my love for tokusatsu is literally the best of both worlds. In 2001, I remember tuning into Fox Kids on Saturday morning to watch Power Rangers Time Force, but on the very next Sunday morning, I would tune into TV Asahi for Hyakuju Sentai Gao Ranger. From its vast history with Shotaro Shinomori to cosplaying as a ranger, my love for tokusatsu is unquantifiable.
So, what got you into tokusatsu originally? Was it Power Rangers? What got you into it?
I was born in 1990, so I was like the it crowd for Power Rangers, right? I saw the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger movie in theaters. That was like my thing. And I was that kid who was made fun of in like 2nd and 3rd grade for never really getting out of Power Rangers. And, obviously growing up, I got more into anime and I stopped watching Power Rangers. I remember when Dino Thunder came on, and at the time I was like, what? Tommy's back? What is this? But because I was a military brat moving around, didn't always have consistent television networks. So I got into other things like manga. And in like high school, that was my big thing. You know, Naruto, of course, was like everything, Yu-Gi-Oh, you name it. And I remember going to a Dollar General, and this was at this time where I was just buying. If it was anime DVD related, I didn't care what it was. I bought it. I got some like weird anime DVDs that like I kind of regret buying. Very possible that buying whatever anime DVDs it was. I didn't even care what it was. If it had anime on it, I bought it. And there's some stuff that I regret now that is like kind of like cringy, and I'm like, why did I buy this? This is not my thing at all. But one of them was, I think it was at Dollar General. I bought a DVD set of Cyborgs 009. And I think I vaguely remembered seeing this in like 2001 on Toonami. Mm-hmm. But obviously, as you probably know, Cyborg 009 was one of those anime that got really shafted by Toonami and was given like a really poor midnight slot. So it ended up becoming that like anime that people kind of knew, but like vaguely remembered. But something about it spoke to me. And like as an artist at that time, I was really, really into Naruto. And I was trying to emulate Masashi Kishimoto's art style or learn from him. But it never clicked to me. And for some odd reason, Shotaro's art style spoke to me. And I deep dived into his work. I started buying what manga I could. In fact, I had a lot more volumes of the Tokyo Pop manga at that time that did get stolen. And like I said before, trying to get those volumes back are a lot more expensive. I think even like volume 5 is like legitimately a $100 like book. And maybe someday when I have money. But yeah, it really spoke to me, and I started really getting into that series. And, you know, I did what I usually do. I deep dived, learned who Shitaro Ishinomori was, what he did, and realizing how much of an impact that man had on manga and anime in general. We like to talk about Tezuka, but I'd argue that, like, I mean, obviously without Tezuka, we would have no Shotaro because of him working on Astro Boy. But the way that Cyborg 009 affected pretty much every manga and anime going forward pretty much gave us the foundation for Shonen Jump, if you will. And of course, the byproduct of that was learning about that he created several television shows, including Kamen Rider and Sentai, and then learning that Sentai was what got turned into Power Rangers. And you know how that whole loop goes right there. And I was more of a Sentai person for a while. I mean, we've joked about this before, but you know I love Gokaiger. And I think I hadn't given Kamen Rider a chance at that point. I knew I liked the idea of it. I just never watched it. And then, yeah, it's just been a deep dive ever since. I love watching movies a lot more. As an artist, it's so much easier to watch like the movies and the crossovers because you don't have to worry about the plot. It's just all really dumb. Like the Kamen Rider Drive movies are like literally peak stupidity, and I love them. Like Wacky Races, Kamen Rider Wacky Races makes me really think like, why don't we have like a Mario Kart Kamen Rider game?
Ooh, that'd be kind of cool.
I think that would be like some sort of like motocross, like with superpowers, and you hit each other. Like, makes me think of that. But yeah, ever since then, like it was just one of those things where my favorite manga and anime turning out to loving, you know, my love for Power Rangers. And in a way, it even got me back into watching Power Rangers. I mean, like I remember going back and watching RPM and Time Force and being like, yeah, this is what I wanted. This is super awesome, like storytelling and aesthetics and just really fun characters. And that's where I've come to now. I mean, like they got me to want to create my own characters and do stories inspired by those characters, to do things that are different, you know. And I think as a storyteller, that's probably my best advice for people who want to create their own characters, because I'm sure, as some people know, I live in Texas, and we have, for whatever reason, several creators in Texas making their own series. And my best friend George came up with this phrase called tokusatsu, you know, Toku, Texas, tokusatsu. And, you know, it's very catchy. And there's a Mortal Red Fox and there's the Jamingers, just to name a few. And of course, Texas is a big state. But when you're not seeing a lot of indie Toku productions happening across the United States, having 3 of them in one place where everyone can go meet and hang out is kind of wild. Which, speaking of which, we did that, by the way. We got all together, and we had I had a little suit actor wear my hero Mars's suit, and they did a little fun crossover fight. It was like a 3 minutes. It's on Common Ramen Studios on YouTube, but I definitely recommend it. It's really fun. And ever since then, I've noticed in the last couple of years, a lot of other people have been inspired. And I'm not going to take credit for inspiring them. These could be completely unrelated. People have been making original characters for things that they love, God, forever. I mean, think of like the Star Trek fandom in the 60s, things like that. It's just a part of the nature of fandoms, but it's a really cool part of the fandom. And that's the cool part about with Kamen Rider and Sentai having new characters every year. You can build very personal relationships over your design aesthetic. The design of your character can say a lot about you. Like, I'm a person who loves frogs, you know, like I'm obsessed with frogs. If you know me, anyone will always tag me in frog stuff. So I created my character after a frog. And this is, you know, he's got little frog cheeks, little frog, you know. So yeah, I like to say that speaks to me in my design philosophy and the characters that I create. And that's why you see a lot of people creating their own characters. And I will say, you know, no matter what your aspirations are, whether you think you're going to make a comic book, a short film, a narrative, or you just like making characters, you want to have artwork, the cool opportunity is to take what inspires you from tokusatsu and then try to spin that in a direction you haven't been seen before. And if you like making stuff that would be, you could criticize as being derivative, but if it makes you happy, then it shouldn't matter what the people say about your creation.
Why do I, the Toku Shark, love Toku? I'll tell you why. Cool fight scenes, awesome henshin sequences, magnificent storylines, and most importantly, the concept of teamwork. Tokusatsu teaches us the concept of uniting together as one, problem solving whatever adversity comes in our way. That's why I love Toku.
What I really liked most were the monster designs. From Gold Ranger to today, the variety in design kind of ranges from deranged mascot parodies to your children's worst nightmare. And you know those Sentai teams are going to help save them to save and defeat those creeps from the kids.
Hi, I'm Brock. Like many of you, I fell in love with Toku through Ameritoku. When I attended a convention several years ago and saw a Go Kaiju AMV, I was shocked because I didn't know those suits. From there, Super Sentai led me to Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider led me to Garo. What drew me in was the depth and heart given to all these characters. The show was intended for children, but it never treated the viewer as one. Actual stories, stakes, themes, it was all amazing to me. And plus, the toys aren't too bad either.
Let's jump into in the fandom, thinking of the fandom, thinking of your time with tokusatsu, you know, interacting with people who also enjoy this genre, these shows. What is your favorite memory from the fandom?
I want to say exactly last year when I put out my video of me henching into Cross from Bonjo Ryuga from Kamen Rider Build. That was pretty much my favorite moment because I did it out of win because for one, I had a day off and I was trying to do like a small cosplay at this little Japanese festival in my area. And I was just trying to see if I want to do Banjo, if I want to do Gintaku from Bill because I had like a similar jacket. So, but the Banjo Ryuga had the pretty much the most likes, so I chose that. I want to say that was on a Friday, and then on the Saturday when I was at the festival, at the Japanese festival, actually, a Japanese follower actually found my video, retweeted, and then I want to say 2 minutes later, my phone started blowing up because there was a lot of Japanese fans trying to understanding why is this American doing this Japanese henshin and he can do it very well or say the words well. And I was just confused because I was just having fun with my friends, but next thing you know, my phone's about to die because of the fandom. And it just showed how much of a bigger world that we are in because there's a lot of people that can get connected to tokusatsu, get connected to like Sentai and Ultraman, and I want to say that some of them didn't really understand is that there was a bigger fandom out there from the Japanese fandom to the American fandom here for tokusatsu, and it just made me put that in perspective because they said I did very well for myself, especially since I had the belt, I had the jacket, I had everything correct. I felt happy. That was like one of my happier moments. And it just kept me motivated just to keep on doing what I want to do and never be afraid about being myself, and just want to be able to express myself through those videos or dancing, because I like to do movements around and like to show my passion. So that was I want to say that's one of my great moments.
I remember that. I remember when that video went around. And of course, you followed it up with, a bunch of other, henshins. You get new belts, you get new henshin devices, and you keep it going. It's always fun to see a new video from you and doing something funny or goofy. Is there any sort of advice or any sort of life lessons that you've learned while in this fandom that you think would be wise to pass on to other people, or to pass on to people that may take up the torch, that you'd like to pass on to anyone watching?
As Squall and I talked before, it doesn't matter what level of artist you're at or writer you're at. You're going to start somewhere. You're going to get better. Just be humble about it. Don't ever put others down. There's no room for gatekeeping when it comes to this stuff, especially original characters. It's something beautiful. People, whether you're making your own writer characters or you're making your own universe characters, whatever you do, it's better to support each other and lift each other than it is to tear each other apart. Because, that's social media is fantastic for doing that, whether it's supporting each other, but it's also equally very elegantly good at tearing each other down.
I love the whole tokusatsu get up that you guys have going on. However, we did have a guest on a previous episode that is in the same area as me. We're going to be the Central Satsus for the Central Midwest.
That's where I used to live, but now I'm in Texas again. Illinois represent. Casey's Pizza. Am I right, guys?
Yeah, it is pretty good. We talked about Casey's Pizza. Where was I? I was talking to a bunch of people, and like nobody had even heard of what Casey's was, and I was just like,
well, if you guys don't know, if you're not from the Midwest, Casey's Pizza is a pizza restaurant that also just happens to sell gasoline.
That's the best way to put it. So, talking about this fandom, talking about being a part of this fandom, what do you think is your favorite sort of memory, or interaction that you've had online? Like, what is your favorite thing that you've experienced by being in this fandom?
Oh man, God, there's a couple of moments. One for me, I think, was going to Power Morphicon in 2018. I know there was a lot of stuff that people didn't like about Power Morphicon in 2018. You could argue that there is a sense of entitlement that comes from people, whether you were able to get that Lord Draken figure or not. Overall, I had a fantastic experience as an artist. It was my first specialized convention. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I normally do your comic book conventions, your general pop culture events, stuff where I have to sell my prints, and it's just something for everybody. But when you go to a Power Rangers event, you expect people are going to expect you to want Power Ranger art and Kamen Rider art. And I didn't have a lot of that. I had my original comic books that I was doing. I debuted issue 2 of Red Visor there. And I did some prints for the event. Ironically, the prints didn't sell very well, but I didn't take offense of that because I made more for it by everybody just buying my book. So many people bought my book. So many people commissioned me, and it was such a great event. And it wasn't even about the money I made. It was great to basically come back home and not having. I spent a lot of money to get there, because not only did I spend money as an artist there, but I also paid for the dance and the Ranger breakfast and the cool badge. I wanted the full Morphicon experience because I've never been to something like that before. And just meeting a bunch of people that I'm still friends with today, still talk to today, was something else. And then I guess you could probably count Ranger Stop in that as well. They're a bit smaller of events. They feel more like the general pop culture events that I do. But again, it's just being able to meet with fans in person who love this stuff. I will say, being in person, you feel a lot more sense of camaraderie. I guess if I can get a third moment, is meeting a lot of other tokusatsu artists online. It's a really tight-knit community and a diverse community of artists that you would never think that would exist. And some of them are making their own characters. Some of them are making really awesome prints, like the one that you've got down there below, right next to you. It's another fantastic one. Shout out to him. Great artwork.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been really cool being able to just share your ideas and have other people who are doing the same thing being yes. Because I will say, one thing I've noticed of the fandom, and this isn't I don't want to say this is a negative mark, but I think there's a disconnect between artists who draw tokusatsu artwork and the general tokusatsu like fan base. If you want to go on a literal standpoint, obviously tokusatsu means live action. So you could argue my Sentai inspired comic books aren't tokusatsu, but I like to think that, yeah, there is the general definition that could describe Sentai, Kamen Rider, Godzilla, Ultraman, Kaider, all that stuff. But I think there's just as much of a history with manga and tokusatsu. I mean, Cyborg 009, that's literally why we have all these series. And seeing artists do stuff with it, it's a lot of fun too. And I think if that fan base and the artists can come together, we can create a fan community that is like no other community.
In a previous episode, we talked about the comics of tokusatsu. Like we talked about, obviously, the Mighty Morphin ones. And I was looking for somebody who might know their way around the Kamen Rider manga and stuff like that. So maybe in a future episode, if you're interested, we might have you come back and talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I'd love to. I will say I do wish Kamen Rider Spirits was actually officially translated, but not much you can do with that one. I have it so I can look at the pretty artwork. I also have an art book that I picked up at Kinokuniya, which that was really cool to find. We have a Kinokuniya up in Austin, so I can find like a lot of cool Japanese books up there.
Man, that's the one thing I miss about not being in LA is being able to go to Little Tokyo and hitting up all those spots. We got nothing out here.
Rest in peace. You got Casey's Pizza, though.
That is true. Well, that's all the time that we have. Alé, thank you so much for coming on and discussing everything that you've experienced with the fandom.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. It's fun.
I will say one of my favorite memories from Power Morphicon 2018 was we watched, was it Ready Player One?
Oh my God, yes, and I hated that movie so much. God. Oh.
Why do I love Toku? Well, there's honestly so many different reasons why. Not only are there really cool toys and suits and of course the shows, but every single year we get something new and different that if you're not enjoying the current season of some series or show, next year there's always a second chance for you to get into it brand new again. Or you could take a couple years off and join back in. It's like never-ending possibilities of new, and it's really exciting all the time.
I love tokusatsu because it has so much love behind it. Whether it's actors coming back or bands being formed specifically for a season, or well, the music itself, everything is just so lovable. The characters are lovable and the actors are lovable. They love the shows that they appeared in and they return as fan service, and the fact that they love their series so much that they do that is why I love it, because of love. Haha.
Hey guys, Cam here from Kansas City, Missouri, and why I love tokusatsu is because of the community that it's given me that I haven't had in other parts of my life. I get to share my ideas, I get to create my own tokusatsu godpunk, I get to have my own henshin device. This stuff is great, it's really started to shape who I am, and that's a huge part thanks to Let's Talk Toku and TokuSHOUTsu. So, from me and from godpunk, thanks you guys, can't wait to see what you do next.
Why do you have Sailor Moon back there?
Well, I have a lot of posters I've collected over these years, and I put the Hurricaneger one behind you because it started off with 3, like we have 3 guests on the show, and then I kind of ran out of posters, but I grabbed Sailor Moon, but then I remembered Sailor Moon for the longest time had 3 Sailor Scouts before they introduced Jupiter in episode 25, and then in season 2 onward they had Venus, the best character. So it works.
It's a Sentai, to be honest.
It is. It really is. Is there any sort of advice or any sort of life lessons that you've learned while in this fandom that you think would be wise to pass on to other people, or to pass on to people that may take up the torch, that, you know, someone else might be the next Von Cooper out there, you know, doing henshin videos or dance videos?
I would say just a good advice for people that are going to be in the fandom in the future is just pretty much having a good amount of people that you're cool with, also having a good amount of people that you have friends with. So having like 2 groups for one say, because there's going to be an increase of fans because Ultraman is going to be popular again now, and then Riders and TokuSHOUTsu is going to be popular. I would say having people that you like mutually have conversations with is a great thing, but having like like having friends in a fandom, like actually having conversation, trying to be like being yourself, being weird, being funny, just having a great time. Just making sure that you are keeping yourself accountable and keeping yourself pretty much in a good place, especially if you have especially when you have those friends around, because there'll be times where there might be some events that's happening, but you have this a good amount of friends that you can still explore the franchise with, explore the fandom with, and have a great time just feeling that passion for it. And for the people that you're cool with, like having like mutual conversations, like I said, talk to here and there, but also trying to get to know them as well, where you can bring them to the friend group. So making sure that you can pull people from like who you're cool with to like in a friend group in the future, because if you're cool with them and they might be cool with your other friends, and you can be yourself with them. So that's what my word of advice for what the fandom should be expecting in the future.
Very good. I like that. It's super important to really sort of distinctly put that anybody in this fandom you can connect with, you can talk to, you can become friends with, but sometimes it takes a little bit of work, and sometimes your dislike or interest in a certain show, I don't know what's up with this, but just rubs people wrong some ways, and there's nothing you can do about that. You love builds, they don't. Move on. End of the day.
You love the ninja? I don't, but hey, we're still cool.
Wait, are you like me?
Oh, you love the ninja?
I think most Sentais are pretty good, but Ninja's low on the list.
That's why we're cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this hour with myself, with everybody watching, and our other guests that we had on. It's been a real blast of fun.
Happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, that's all the time that we have for this season of Let's Talk Toku. Thank you guys so much for watching. Honestly, just thank you. I know at the beginning of the episode I mentioned that there would be 3 guests, and while we had Von Cooper and Alejandro, the third guest, however, was you. It's everybody who is watching this, who is supporting these shows, this genre, stateside and, elsewhere. Without you just voicing your opinions and just making yourselves heard and known and making it feasible to bring these shows here and maybe, even worldwide. There's just so much that would not have happened without you, without this fandom. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much to you, to this fandom, and to this genre that really has transformed and done, crazy things with my life so far. So thank you. 25 episodes, it didn't really first seem like a lot, and now that I'm here, it was a lot, but it was great. I had a lot of fun with our guests this season. I had a lot of fun creating this show. I learned a lot, and it's been one hell of a ride. So I want you to use the hashtag Let's Talk Toku and let us know what you might want to see for a season 2. Any future guests that you'd like to see on the show? Any topics or any, things that we just didn't cover or have time to cover this season? What do you want to see? Let us know. Use that hashtag Let's Talk Toku, and maybe we'll see it done on season 2. But that's all the time that I have. And again, I just want to say thank you. Anyway, I will see you all when I do. Bye.